Hey everyone, it's Rachel. There's a question that I get asked very frequently that I think is pretty important to discuss, and it's also one that has a lot of controversy surrounding it on the internet. The question is, should beginners always start playing on the acoustic guitar, or is it okay to start with the electric? I think that this question is quite important to discuss because I'm worried that some of the common opinions expressed online might scare away some people who would otherwise really love playing guitar. You can probably guess my opinion on the question at this point, but to answer it directly, you absolutely don't need to start on an acoustic guitar first. In fact, there are actually many reasons why an electric guitar is actually often better to start out on than an acoustic guitar. However, of course, you also might want to start out on an acoustic or classical guitar. Really, the most important factor when you're choosing which instrument to start out on should be how much fun you're going to have with that instrument and what sort of music you want to play with it. If you're most excited about playing fingerstyle guitar or folky music, or playing around campfires with friends, then absolutely go for an acoustic guitar first. Or if you want to play classical music, you might want to check out a classical guitar. But if you are most excited about playing genres like metal, rock, pop, punk, so many different genres, and having more flexibility with the types of music you can play, then absolutely go for an electric guitar first. If you aren't excited from the very start about playing your instrument, you just aren't going to practice, you aren't going to get better at it, and you're going to have a lot less fun with it. But if you get an instrument from the very start that you are excited about and passionate about getting better at, then you will improve a lot faster and just have a more enjoyable experience overall. Online, I see a lot of advice given to beginners who are clearly interested in playing electric guitar, who want to play metal, rock, things like that, and they are told that they really need to start on an acoustic guitar first. Commonly, people will say that starting on an acoustic guitar first will build up your strength better and make electric guitar easier later on. Now, while that might be true in some ways, and while there are some benefits you can get obviously from playing an acoustic guitar, it is not the right advice to give to a beginner. It's very likely, in my opinion, that that person who is forced to get an acoustic guitar despite clearly wanting to go for an electric guitar first will never reap the so-called benefits of playing the acoustic guitar first because they'll probably quit way before they actually get an electric guitar. In addition to this, the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar are really two quite different instruments. The two instruments require different sorts of techniques and also have different things that are important to focus on. For one, on the acoustic guitar, you have to apply more pressure in general to hold down the strings. This means that if you are starting out on an acoustic when your goal is to play electric, when you get to electric, it's true that it will be easy to hold down the strings, but it's likely that you'll actually be applying too much pressure and you might bend the notes out of tune or just put more stress on your wrists and hands than is actually necessary. But if you had instead started out on an electric guitar, you could work on applying the correct amount of pressure from the very start, not too much, just the amount necessary to hold down the strings and get the notes to ring out. Another thing is that on electric guitars, muting strings that aren't being played is very important because everything is amplified, and if you don't do that, then things will start ringing out and it won't sound very good. So if your main goal is to be able to play electric guitar with distortion, then it might be good to start out from the very start working on those different muting techniques that are required. Those are just a couple of examples of some of the differences between acoustic and electric guitar, but the main thing here is that the instruments require different skills and have different priorities as to things you need to work on. Certainly some skills will carry over between the two, but I'm sure whenever you move from one to the other, you're going to have to refine your technique and work on new things. So since the electric and acoustic guitars are two pretty different instruments, why not just start out on the one that you are excited about and start learning skills really relevant to that instrument from the start. Whether this instrument is an acoustic, classical, or electric guitar is totally up to you, but really start out on what you are excited about, don't let people tell you otherwise. But what do you do if you're equally excited about both electric and acoustic guitar? Well, I'm obviously a little biased here because I love electric guitar and I started on one myself. I think there are a number of reasons why an electric guitar would probably make a better choice for most people who are torn between the two. If you're torn, it's likely you want to play a lot of different styles of music, and the electric guitar overall is more versatile, there's more things you can do with it. With just a relatively cheap audio interface, you can get a wide range of sounds from your guitar without even getting an amp. The electric guitar just gives you so many options, you can switch between genres and different sounds very easily, and if you're interested in doing that, it's definitely a huge plus. While it of course won't sound like an actual acoustic guitar, you can kind of emulate some of the sounds that you can get from an acoustic guitar playing on an electric guitar cleanly, and you can't really do that as easily the other way around. Another benefit of going with the electric guitar first for beginners is that you can practice silently. If you have an audio interface or an amp with a headphone jack, you can just plug in some headphones and practice your guitar at any hour you want, pretty much entirely silently. Now, of course, it does make a little bit of noise, but you can definitely play it at night in an apartment building without any worries. On the other hand, with an acoustic guitar, since the sound resonates from it itself, you can't play that quietly and it might be too loud to practice at night. So having an electric guitar might allow you to practice more than you would be able to with an acoustic. Now I'm sure in some cases this might be less of a concern, but for those of us who live in apartment buildings, it's definitely something to think about, and something that might make the electric a better choice when you're starting out. And one last reason why I think it might be a better choice to start out with the electric guitar if you're torn between the two is because you can start getting to fun things much faster. As I mentioned before, the electric guitar requires a lot less force to hold down the strings. The electric guitar also has smaller, thinner strings than an acoustic guitar, so it will be less painful for your fingertips starting out. Now, while proponents of forcing people to start out on acoustic guitars will argue that the increased hand strength and finger callousing necessary for the acoustic guitar will help you long term and make things easier down the road, I would argue that it's actually a negative thing for beginners to be forced to do that because they're going to have a lot less fun at the start. If you're not able to hold down a simple chord or your fingertips are just falling off constantly, you're not going to be having as much fun with it, and if you're not really dedicated to playing that instrument and excited about the future of what you can do with that particular instrument, you might end up giving up. But if you start on the electric guitar where things are a little bit easier, you'll still have finger pain, you'll still have problems holding down chords, but it'll be that much easier to get past it and that much easier to start having a lot of fun with it. And as I keep saying, I think fun is the most important thing when you're playing an instrument. If you're enjoying what you're doing, that's really all that matters. Now with that, I'm not by any means dissing or discouraging people from playing the acoustic guitar. The acoustic guitar certainly has its benefits as well. For one, you don't need an amplifier and it's really easy to just bring somewhere and play and enjoy with other people. And it's obviously also suited way better to certain kinds of music. So again, if you are excited about playing an acoustic or classical guitar personally, definitely go for that first. Choosing a guitar is a really personal choice, and while there are many factors you should consider, the most important one is whether you are excited about the instrument. If you are excited about it, you're having fun with it, you'll play the instrument more often and you'll get closer to your goals a lot faster than you would if you were playing an instrument that you weren't that into. So if you are starting out on guitar and you really want to start with the electric guitar, but you've heard advice telling you not to do that for one reason or another, don't let that hold you back. And for any acoustic or classical guitar music lovers out there, definitely choose one of those instruments, play the instrument you are excited about, and have a ton of fun with it. So I hope that helped to clear up a common misconception that I see all over the internet. In the end, all that really matters is our shared love of the instrument and having fun with music. As always, thank you so much for watching and for all of your support, and I'll see you in the next video.